Okay, this is Dr. Hugh Kim Lee. I'm making some videos in response to some questions that I've got from Year 10 students from Concordia College here in Adelaide. And it's a great way for me to share my knowledge and a great way for me to encourage other young kids to reach out to professionals and experts to help them in their learning. And this is a great example of using technology for good. The internet is a fantastic piece of technology, and this iPhone that I'm filming this on, the YouTube that I'm going to connect it to, it's all great technologies. But if you don't use it in the right way or the correct way or a beneficial way, then people are more likely to use it for things that don't help them or have a negative impact or make them more addicted to the technology. So, is there a difference in behavior or even IQ between clients using Minecraft casually and clients using Minecraft educationally? To be honest, I haven't seen children from schools here in Adelaide using it for educational purposes. I've heard of schools in New South Wales using it with specific classrooms, with the tailored educational version of Minecraft. But I have seen kids who ask me questions like, can I get a sick certificate to get out of school camp? And I'll ask them, are you sick? Is there something wrong? They're like, no, I don't like school camp. And I'm like, well, isn't school camp fun? And they're like, no, it's dirty, there's bugs, it's uncomfortable. And I'm like, well, what's your favorite game? And some of them will say Minecraft. And I'm like, well, isn't school camp like real life Minecraft? And then I'll get some other kids who, have problems controlling their gaming, and I'll brainstorm with them other activities they can do. And some of the responses I'll get is, I could help mum or dad build a chicken cage in the backyard, but I don't want to get my hands dirty. I don't want to get splinters in my hands. Meanwhile, they're constantly building magnificent things online and being very creative, but there's a disconnect to the real world. So what I'm saying is that the video games that children are playing, like Minecraft, are great tools. They allow you to expand your creativity and test things out, but it may not actually improve things for you in the real world unless you apply it and cross it over into the real world. So let's say you design something in Minecraft, you should be able to print that thing out into a 3D printer or have some plans and build it out in the real world using real world things. Does that make sense? It has to cross over for there to be a real world benefit. It's kind of like if I were to make a drawing on a piece of paper about a house design, but then I don't actually apply that into building a little scale model in real life using pop sticks and things like that. There has to be an application of the things you're learning in that particular medium. The other thing that I am worried about, and this is an important topic, and that is the climate change and our approach to things to do with the environment. And I know so many kids are very passionate about the environment, protecting our earth. But to be honest, games like Minecraft, sandbox games like Fortnite, they're not actually helping us understand that we have a limited amount of resources in the real world. Because in the game, children are playing games like Minecraft from a very young age, and they believe that there's an unlimited amount of wood, there's an unlimited amount of rocks, unlimited amount of iron, unlimited amount of diamonds. Because the game in Minecraft teaches you that as long as you keep digging, you'll get that resource out and then you can build it up. Or you could just have an unlimited amount of resources to build whatever you want. That is the total opposite of what it's like to be in the real world and to build things like your house, your car, your electric car, the wind turbines, the solar panels. Even all those things require resources and effort and affect the climate. So that's what I'm worried about, is that if we actually want to protect and keep this earth for other generations to come, kids should actually be spending more time outdoors rather than on a screen. And I recently saw an article about the famous Dr. Harry, who was made Australian of the Year, who saved those kids in that underground tunnel in Thailand. Well, he says that his mission is to get kids off screen and into the outdoors. So I want to reinforce that message today, that although Minecraft is an excellent game, it has some uses as a tool, in the end it's still a tool, and you need to be able to apply that tool in the real world so that kids like yourself who are watching this video can make the most of that educationally and for their future. Do you support the trend of using Minecraft in an educational environment? I would say, okay, I wouldn't object to it, but there has to be some limits to it. There has to be some training, some very specific training. You can't just load up Minecraft onto all the laptops and let kids do whatever they want, because we know that kids need some guidance and that there has to be some measurable outcomes and objectives and feedback. Looking at it through a psychiatrist view, what are some of the benefits of using Minecraft in an educational environment? What are some of the concerns? I guess my concerns is that children could become distracted. They could have that game on their screen, they get bored of the game, and then they load up another game that's more exciting on the side and pretend that they're doing their work. They could be dependent on learning in that in particular environment and not able to shift their mind to doing things like physical education or other things that you can't do Minecraft in, like, drama and things like that. Is there a concern that you have with parents introducing video games into a child's early development stage? Yes, very good question. So, the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends that children under the age of 2 shouldn't have screens. The World Health Organization says that children under the age of 1 shouldn't have screens, and then above 1, limited amount of screens. I think that it's better if parents hold off on video games for as long as possible. At this stage, video games, the way they're designed to addict and to keep kids playing and to keep kids spending money. Although they are free games, the games are designed to extract the amount of money from your parents' credit card, and kids aren't aware of how these games are designed. There are some things called dark patterns where they program you to persuade you to do a certain thing automatically. What are the changes with a child's brain if video games are introduced too early? Well, we do know that in the US they're doing some large studies on tracking the changes in a child's brain if they are playing video games too early. And we don't know the results of that, but we do know that kids are having difficulty getting off screens. They're having difficulty with face-to-face communication, regulating their emotions, relying on using screens to deal with anger, sadness, unhappiness. We know that screens are used by companies to market products to children. So that can also affect things like children's obesity rates, junk food companies targeting kids with adverts on junk food and brands and things like that. And lastly, do you work with people on the autism spectrum? Yes, I do. Do brains on the spectrum think differently when they're playing video games? This is an excellent question. This is a very high-level question. And I've asked some of my colleagues who are autism pioneers about this very question. I asked this question 4 years ago in Singapore when I met Professor Gary Mezebov, who was instrumental in developing autism spectrum disorder in the United States. And he says that children on the autism spectrum, they get the online world and the online world gets them. They love the online world because you don't need to read facial cues, you don't need that face-to-face communication, and things online are very predictable and you can see and follow the certain rules in the game. So yes, I would say that, yeah, there is a link. There are case studies in Japan where children were tested for autism and scored very highly, and then they were asked to stop playing video games or watching screens or using screens and interacting and playing with their parents more. And when they came back, this particular case study, that child scored very low on the autism spectrum because and they labeled this as autism-like symptoms based on the screen use. Now, this is not the case for all children who are actually diagnosed on the autism spectrum, but they're showing a clear link between a child's ability to socialize and communicate and interact and within their relationships based on their screen use. What about brains on the autism spectrum working on academics? Not really sure how to answer that question. Are they working in teaching academics? I'm not sure. Are you saying, does that give them an advantage to learn? So the only thing I can really say about being on the spectrum is that no two people on the autism spectrum are the same. There's a spectrum for a reason, and that people have different abilities to function and abilities and degrees of severity on the autism spectrum. So if you have a very severe form of autism, then your learning is going to be affected negatively. If you have a more mild version of autism, then you might actually be able to function better in a classroom, and in some cases you might excel because the topics that you're learning are one of those restricted range of interests that you might have on the autism spectrum. That is something that you're really into, really obsessed about, really love and passionate about. How do brains on the autism spectrum react to video games being used in an educational environment? Well, I would say that most kids on the spectrum would be much happier learning in a Minecraft environment, and they could be more happier for different reasons, but I'm not sure whether it actually improves their academic learning in the end. I'm worried that if they are too reliant on Minecraft or video games to learn, that they actually sort of lose their ability to communicate and socialize face to face, and that might actually, you might improve in some areas, but not improve or get worse or deteriorate in other areas. Well, I don't have any more questions or comments, but if you're a student and you've been watching this video and you have more questions, please do follow my channel or follow my Facebook group, CGI Clinic, or cgiclinic.com. My name is Dr. Hugh Kimley. I'm a child psychiatrist here in Adelaide, and I see kids face to face from all over South Australia, but I also see kids with gaming problems from all over Australia via telepsychiatry, which is I talk to them through Skype. So thanks again for tuning in. I'll see you later. Bye.